Okay,
Now it
we're
is.
on. Okay, beautiful. All right, Chad, are you connected?
I am here.
Okay, hey,
Hey,
very
bud.
nice. Hey, buddy. All right, nice work there on the Facebook site. There, that was beautiful. It was nice to see. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for them. All right, so if somebody's got something playing in the background, if they can just either mute yourself because you got family members near you and listen, and then just answer the question. Pop on if you got a question. But there you go. All right, great. All right, I never think about what I'm going to say, except I put some PowerPoints down, and I basically just finished the Seattle PowerPoint, which is about 120 slides. And Chad asked me to talk about something, I just put out there, what would you like me to talk about? He put out the one thing that I don't really talk about, and that's patient communication. And I'm big into communication into my office. It's all I do, and we'll walk through that. And I do it very differently than the way that I used to do it. And I've talked about this one time before, and I've evolved from that place that something's more comfortable for me. And I'll share that with you tonight as kind of my process and the way that I talk with people. So the one of the things that I've always felt is that I've always felt like I've had my back against the wall. Okay, I always felt that I had to do two things. Okay, and one of them was that I needed to tell people that the medical model is I do something different than the medical model. Okay, and I used to put a lot of effort into that. But the bigger thing that I used to do is I used to speak from a place that I'm a different type of chiropractor. Okay. I generally don't do that anymore. Okay. I just talk about what I do rather than what I don't do. And it seems to just work better for me. Now, I do slide back into that, and you'll hear that tonight because sometimes I feel like it's necessary to jump in and say something. If somebody's talking about medicine, how's that worked for you? And you go down that path, and you get to hit a single and say, hey, that didn't work too well, right? You can't beat up the body and think it's going to get better. Those kind of comments. Okay. So the place I put my efforts now is into opening up a concept that that people are made appropriately. Okay, and that the universe didn't make something that's garbage, and it's just an amazing thing, and it's talking to me. Okay, so I put a lot of effort all day long, not talking about chiropractic, but bigger global issues that we'll speak about a little more specifically as we go through this, but bigger global issues about concepts of how they can get better, and that I have a different path and a different understanding, and it's so simple for them to understand. Okay, but here's the glitch. Okay, here's the glitch. No matter what you say to somebody, if they're not ready to hear it, they won't hear it. Okay? So there are people coming into your office that comes in every shape and size. There's no question about it. It's amazing. And every single one of those people are coming in at a different place. All right? And you have to be able to have a discussion with them and not take it personally if they don't continue care. And also to recognize when somebody is not good for your care, meaning it's not a good match for you. And you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. All right? I had one yesterday. Okay? From the information that he gave me, wasn't going to be a good fit. Okay? So, we basically, I said, this, I made him realize that he should not start care with me. That's what I did. And I'm happy for that. Okay? Because it would have sucked to take care of him. Okay? It wouldn't have been a good match. So I think you have to listen to the patient, and you also have to empower the patient, okay, to make decisions and not make your decisions. So what I used to do is, and I've tried a lot of different things. I've never done anything in management, really. I've reached out to George and Larry before to help me. George has helped me specifically for a little bit. Um, and uh, I, I've tried, when I don't know what to do, and that's their bag because it's not my bag. Management is not my bag. Okay, you know what my bag is. Okay, um, so I have kind of flubbed around this. I've always made my management my adjustment. That's been my management, and it's still that way. But my adjustment has gotten thankfully to a place where it doesn't consume 100% of my energy. So I put some energy into this, and I'll share with you what I do tonight. And I think you'll see it in the way that I treat QSM3, and at least the way that QSM3 is in its relationship with you guys, how that's going to go for me is exactly the way that I treat my patients. So I used to do this one visit thing and ram it down their throat and all this kind of stuff, and I would lean in and give them the old pitcheroo and jam it down their throat that they're helter skelter was going to happen and that I was the savior, Lord and Savior for them. And I hated that. I hated that. And my front office lady once said to me, she says, "Why don't you just do this all in one visit?" Because she's a money person, okay? She likes to get it done, man. And I leaned in and I did that, and I didn't like it. And I did that for about a year or two, and I didn't like it. And I said, one day, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't like the way this goes anymore. So what I do now is I start a patient up, and they come in for a consultation, and it's $208. Okay, most people that are referred into my office receive people that are referred in get that in half as a referral discount. Okay, so they come in and get to talk to me, get some film, get a posture IQ, and chat for an hour. It's $140. Okay, it's cheap. To get an adjustment, it's $175 for the first adjustment. Okay, so the process of me going through that is I have a conversation with people which we'll go through tonight, and then at some point, do they want to get adjusted or not? Okay, after that, they leave. I take a film, they go, and they come back and they get another adjustment, and it's just a regular office visit. It's 10 minutes. Okay, I get to chat, I get to check, okay, and I get to touch. It's very simple. Okay, and I get to check in. So we'll talk about that process. And then what I usually do is on the third or fourth visit is when I sit down with them and I said, this is what I think is necessary for you to reach the goals that you want to reach. Okay. So I found that this is a better path because it involves the patient and it involves it in one specific way. You're never leaning in on them. Okay. And what I found is that if I can make a change in X amount of visits, I don't have to sell them anything because they're the ones that need me. My dentist, I don't go to the dentist and have a tooth issue and I have no idea what it is. It may need a root canal and I think it's just, a little this or that. And, it's just one adjustment and no root canal is not that. Okay. And then maybe it needs a crown. So, you go in there and I always have, I can't speak for you guys, but I always had the feeling with patients that I needed to sell them something. Okay. Instead of looking at them and saying, hey, they're not in a healthy place and I'm in a good place. Okay. Because I understand as far as my experience goes, I understand pretty good what's going on. Okay. That I feel comfortable at this point. So I've learned to involve them, okay, and so we're going to talk about that process a little bit tonight. And the big thing for me is the relationship process, okay. If you go anywhere where you're going, and the reason why social media is so popular is because people don't talk anymore, okay, and people yearn for that, my friends, okay. So you never have to sell them anything, okay? In my opinion, and it's my opinion, this is top-notch work, okay? Are we good at what we do? No, we're not good at work. We do, but in our business, in our profession, it's top-notch work, okay? So all we got to do is be able to convey that information. So because everybody is referred into my office, okay, that's just the way my office has been set up. I have something in common with them, the person that sent them in. All right. So I get to have somebody bring them back to my front office and give them a tour and say blah, 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 and make people feel at home. That's way back with Dr. Brooks, if you know who he is. Okay. And I like that. I like making people feel at home, and he's a master at that. So once you make them kind of walk through and you get them to sit down, I used to play a video and that kind of stuff. I don't do that. Just walk in and somebody's about to check them. All right. But before that happens, I walk in for literally 30 seconds to a minute and say hello and get that connection started so that they know me, they've walked through the place, and they've already had that conversation about me, how wonderful that other person is. Okay? So I step in and I connect for just a moment, and that's what this comment is right here. Okay? And I ask them about the other person. You know, I understand that blank and blank sent you in. Yeah, I saw them 2 weeks ago. It looks like they're doing great. You know, what they have to say. Okay? So, you know, or how they doing. And, you know, she's going to tell you, or they're going to tell you. And why are they going to tell you? Because that was their conversation of they got better, so that they should come and go see Friedman, okay, or Friedman, the other Friedman, or Puro, okay. So the relationships, okay, is the most important thing that you can do in the beginning, and it's already been cemented in place if you have a practice that's based on referrals. If you have a practice that's not based on referrals, you are out of the relationship business to start. And what that creates, for me, in my opinion, is that you have to put a mask on because you can't be yourself because you don't have enough time to people see who you are. So you have to amp it up. So they get to see how great you are and how super honest and how much you care. Okay? And that is an unfortunate place. Okay? I don't do that. Okay? Because I have all the time in the world. Because I don't have a place where I have to say, you know what? I have to do a care plan today. Okay? So I have a lady, okay, that was sent in by another lady who's been coming to me for 2 years. Okay? She's got dystonia. So this other lady is a good friend of hers. She just got sent in. So right after the first visit, the lady went into the hospital, okay, the new patient. So all of a sudden, I didn't see her. So she came in for her second visit, you know, after about 2 months. And I said to the front office lady, I said, listen, let's just get a couple of visits going. Let's see how this responds, and we'll talk to him about the care plan. Well, what do you think the lady said? She remembered from the first day that there was a process to this and that I'm going to be able to tell her what I think is necessary. And what did she say on that second visit 2 months later from the hospital? She said to my front office lady, she says, hey, are we going to do the care plan today? Or are we going to, whatever, how she said that? In the end, and my front office lady, I said, no, we'll do that in the next couple of visits, okay? So if you talk to people and you create the path for them to see a way that's different, they see it in a place that's in a relationship, okay, then guess what happens, okay? Your results of what you're doing is already in a phenomenal place, and you match those two things, and guess what happens? You get a match, okay? So that's the way I roll in my office. My office does not push that way, and because I don't feel pushed, okay? So I used to feel like I have to close something. No, now people should just want to get going. You know, they want to get better. They should just see it. Okay, so I'm really big on being real, okay, being you, you know, and having a pulse, and we'll talk about what that means, this being alive here. Okay, so here's the beginning. So I touch base, and then somebody else goes and checks them, all right? And they go ahead and so I say to them right before I leave, I said, we do things a little bit differently here. We're going to do some diagnostics first before we sit down, okay? So that that when I do sit down with you, that my diagnostics can talk to you in your symptoms, and we can, make a match with that and see if they connect the dots. All right. So I start out with a process that's already different, and I already tell them that it's different, and they see that, oh, that makes sense, okay? So we measure first, okay? And along that measuring process, we start having a global conversation. Okay, today's different. We're going to look at the structure of your body. Okay, we're going to look at the cause of the trouble. Whatever, I don't have anything scripted, so I say whatever I want to say. Okay, this machine over here is going to measure you where you stand like a building. So we're going to look today at the strength of that building. Okay, so we could find out the issues that you're having and get them straightened out for you. Okay, we introduce people to the posture IQ and say, hey, this is something that we do here, and only a few doctors in the country have this. Okay, and it measures where you are so we can actually track your progress. Okay, it also tells me what your body likes so that we can help you as fast as possible. These are easy statements. Okay. The next thing that we do, and then we do that as we're walking along. You don't just not talk to somebody. I certainly don't talk to them. Like I said, did you see the Yankee? I have my Yankee hat on, by the way. And I didn't say, hey, I haven't said to one patient, did you see the Yankee game last night? Okay. So we're going to talk about tonight the conversations in the office and how they should resonate with you. And then we go ahead and we take some pictures. Okay. So we get this posture IQ stuff out of the way. And then we take pictures. And I take 3 pictures in my office now. I take a full spine, okay, frontal, A to P. And I'm getting a digital unit at the end of the year because we're remodeling our office at Christmas time, Christmas break. So we're going to put the digital unit in right after that. So we're waiting on that. So I've already taken care of that. And so I take a full spine, A to P. I'm going to take a full spine lateral. A nasium and a lateral cervical. So those are the pictures that I'll take after the first year. So right now I'm just taking the A to P frontal just because it's too cumbersome to deal with cassettes and stuff like that. It's too much time. So we do those things, and I have not talked to them since the hello. And in between that, somebody is talking a little bit of a global conversation about what we're doing. Okay? So here is the first thing that I think is crucial to the success of your getting your message across, and that is people looking at stuff without you telling them what it is. Okay, so what I do is I go ahead and mark some films. Now, this one just has pencil on it, okay, but I usually mark it up with some perma marker and things, and I measure some angles, and I write short or bending or kink and words like that up here, and, these kind of things. I put an arrow, and what happens is, and you could see that just from this right here, is that if anybody just looked at this, I usually walk them back, and I said, I'm just going to go check on the front. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'd like you to just these are your pictures here. Take a look at them. And I think you'll be able to see a lot of things that are interesting for you and see why you're having the trouble. So what do you think they do? They see the trouble. They see it. So I said, so when I walk back, because I just walk away to give them a couple minutes to just look at their own pictures. Okay? And I let them stand there by themselves. They're standing up at a view box in the x-ray room. All right. And I come in and I say, what do you see here? They say, what do you think they say? It's all crooked. I said, yeah, you notice this point right here? People here you could see the back stress and how this is like really collapsing. Okay. And how this is bending over here. And, see how this leans so far. Here's your middle. See how this leans so far off? Well, what do you think's holding that up, this whole thing from falling over? And I'm doing it as they're standing there. So I can't do that for you, but as they're leaning, I lean over. I said, what do you think's holding me from falling over? I said, all these muscles. So I said, people like this have muscle and neck pain and this kind of stuff. So I'm already telling them and connecting them with stuff that they have. Now, if you want, your front office is good. She'll take notes on what the person has before they walk in. And if you want to look at that stuff, knock yourself out. Okay? Because then you could just be a genie. Okay? And you could see it anyway. But that makes it really simple. Okay? So I like to play the game not to do that. Okay, because I can get general enough and I'm going to hit enough things, okay? But people see the things like bending and compression and the collapse, and I use those words. And I squash it down. You see how the whole thing is compressing. You can't see me doing that here. But I'm not standing there with my hands behind my back. when I'm talking about this thing. I have not said anything about it should be this way, it should be that way, and the relationship's off and this. Just look at it. It's a minute and a half. They look at it for a couple minutes, you walk in, and you talk about it for a minute and a half in global ways. You see that, you see this, you see this disc over here, this is leaning there. Okay, you see this buckling over there. I'm going to ask you guys to turn your mic off, please.
なかったんで、これ、はい。まあ、食事の時に2つずつ、はい、ファーストバイトっていうような、まあ、例えば朝ごはん食べる時に、すぐ直前っていうか、2つして。
Yoshi. Okay, we got him. Okay, sorry about that. So, so I let them look at that, and then we have a little bit of a quick conversation, about what they see, and then using words through that conversation that they can relate to. If you jump into QSM3 and start talking about relationships and numbers, and this is where you were on the machine, and here you are, that you have taken them into calculus, and they are still rubbing sticks together. Okay? Because people don't know anything except the simple words that you know. Pain, osteoarthritis, headaches, migraines, blood pressure issues, grandma. You see that visual? And you walk them through those points using those words, because then they can relate to you. This guy's speaking my language, and I haven't even talked to him yet. Okay, you got to speak to them in the language they know. It's no long deal. It's all about that connection. Okay? See, the thing is, then the other guys know that stuff. They don't know that you know that stuff. So when you just connect with them that way, and you're just going to take them right out of that place in just a moment. Okay? But you got to connect before you take them along. Okay? So they need you to hold their hand. Okay? I used to blast them with information. How do I know? I used to blast you guys with information. You couldn't handle it. All right? So people can't handle it. You have some simple understanding of something, and they are not ready to hear it. Okay, so once they've seen their film, you've made some connections with them in multiple ways, okay? You've told them that you're going to look at them in a way structurally, and you're going to measure that, and you're going to look at it and see, can that support that system? You then, as you put them on a posture IQ or some type of measurement or a grid, and you're taking pictures, and they're able to see that, they see on the inside the breakdown of that, and the words have collapsed, and they see it visually, and you use the words. And then guess what happens? You haven't talked to them really about any of their stuff. You haven't talked to them about their numbers. You just talked to them general stuff that they've already related. The whole thing's been 10 minutes. Okay? 15 minutes with the film. All right? So then you sit down with them, and guess what happens? You ask them how you can help them. Okay? And you have to listen to their story, because they want to tell you their story. And in their story, they're going to tell you what kind of person they are. And you just need to lean back and listen to them, okay, and see what kind of person you're dealing with. Okay? So because if you don't connect and you just got your elevator speech and you're not paying attention to that person that's sitting in front of you, okay, and you're talking to a NASA scientist and you're going to tell him about the front end's out of alignment, well, I think you're going to have something that's going to connect with him more. Okay? So, and if you have the old lady, okay, who's in pain, I don't think you're going to start talking about, your angle of this way, and I'm going to come in at a vector this way. Okay? So you got to watch. You got to see who they are, and you'll see what is important to them. Okay? So the guy yesterday that I was talking to, he mentioned a couple times that he had been to, we talked about his chiropractic experiences, and he says, I went to this person a few visits, and I went to that person and I said, well, how long did you go to them? He says, well, I went to them for about 3 months because they had this special, and it was cheap. Okay, that's what he said. And then I said, He says, yeah, but then that person, they did something happened, they moved, so I went over to this person and I liked them and they were good, and because they would just, like go up and down my spine, and wherever it was sore, they would push on it, so I connected with that guy. Okay. And he said, yeah, and he always was just, you could just show up, and it was, like $50, and it was awesome, that kind of stuff. And I knew that that guy was not my guy. Okay. So, I mean, I just made him realize that my program in my office was not the program that was best for him, because it wasn't going to give him what he needed. Okay. So I realized that. But also what it gives me, besides not telling me somebody that I'm not a good candidate for their work there, is that, to be able to listen to them, and to be what I like to do is I used to want to tell somebody how much of an authority I was. Okay. I'm board certified in this, I'm board certified in that. I do this, I do that. Okay. I tend to not do that. I try to be a source of information for them for what they're talking about already. Okay, so that they could come to a better conclusion. All right, so it's called having a conversation with somebody and genuinely listening to them. And believe me, it's difficult, but I do it. I used to not do it at all. Zero. I'm serious, zero, guys, for like 20 years, 22 years. I've been in practice for 22. So 22 years I've been doing that. Okay, so this has been going on for the past 6 months, year, 9 months, something like that, that I actually have been talking to my patients. Okay, so they don't want to hear what you want to tell them. They have specific agendas, and if you ask them, what's going on, you know, how can I help you? Those kind of questions, they'll ask you a question, okay? And they'll always ask you something, because nobody ever talks to them. Nobody asks them, okay? So you can help people a great deal. And there are people that, that have no idea about anything. I have a lady today that was on the table, and she said today, that we were talking about the drugs, and because I'm always talking stuff, man. I'm like, I'll just say, do you know that like 40 to 60% of the population is on Percocet? And she says, yeah, I know. There's so many people doing that. I said, yeah. I said, that's heroin. She says, that's heroin? I said, yeah, that's heroin. I said, it's an amazing thing is what the pharmaceutical companies have done. I said, when they're selling something, okay, they call it another name. They call it an opiate. They call it a Percocet. I said, but when it's a drug addiction and the police are dealing with it, we have a heroin issue. So I said, it's all the way that you package everything, So, she brought up some drug stuff. So I just started bringing up some stuff, and, for her to realize that they're not healthy for you. And she knows that. Okay. So I just don't start talking about people on my agenda. Okay. But I always lean into them in a sense to try to get them to talk about something about what's going on to get them healthier. Okay. So I start with many times asking them what's going on. And by asking them what's going on, then you can ask them what they've done with that. And then you can ask them a very simple question. How's that worked? See, if you just lead people to a place where they already remember what they forgot, because we're all kind of just that way, we just forget all the lessons that we've learned, and we become very insensitive. Okay, the world is very insensitive right now because there's so much stimulation. So people just have to stop. And the first thing that I want them to hear is to pay attention that the pain that they're having, okay, has been talking to them for a while. And that's not a bad thing. It's a gift. Just like your car tells you that it needs you to fill up gas. It's better that it tells you that and you have a gauge. And well, even the light goes on because everybody waits to that. At least I do. Okay, we all wait to the end. Okay, we don't pay attention to the first little ding. We see it at half tank, and we just keep driving by, tank. So if you they have all walked through the medical model already. 99% of the population has walked through it already before they walk in your door. Okay? They've already seen other chiropractors, they've already seen other people because that's the way this type of work has always been. Okay? So I like to get them to see that their body is communicating with them. And it's a magical system. And if they learn to notice it and be aware of it at very sensitive levels, and I talk to them that way. I said, you don't wait till you need a root canal to start brushing your teeth. They get that. Okay? And asking them how it works. For them to have some self-awareness is major. And you just have to lead them down the path that there's a magical system inside, okay? So, any questions? All right. So what I've done so far is I've touched base with them. They've had the tour. They've had their diagnostics, okay? And we have let them see their something in front of them. I use an X-ray for that. And I love the full spine. It really has brought a whole new dimension in that way for me, okay? Because people could see a whole body, not just a bone out of place and a line, okay? So it used to take me just 20 minutes to explain just that one line, okay? So now you don't have to do any of that. It's self-awareness the whole way. So I used to tell people, and I used to have a piece of paper, and I used to draw their misalignment, and I used to have numbers and say, this is biomechanically incorrect, and it's all this kind of stuff. And I realized after a year that I did that, very few people really got what I did, and I spoke and I spoke and I spoke. And it was really not about them. It was about me telling them how wonderful I was and how much information I knew. So I let all that go. That's why this topic is very near and dear to me now, because there's a lot of this stuff in the relationship department that I work on in my office, because for so long I didn't work on the relationship, I worked on the results. Okay, that's all I am. I'm Russell Friedman, is just about the results, So these are the three things that I do in my office, okay? They are done talking to me. They have told me everything. Now, I've told people when they get to talk to me, I ask them to talk to me and I butt in with information so I can lead them so it's never ending, okay? Because sometimes it can be never ending, all right? So once that's all done, I need them to see three simple things of what I do, okay? And that is to first remind them of what they just saw in the X-ray room. You saw the X-rays, you saw those kinks, you saw those collapses, you saw a fair amount of degeneration. Would you like to go look at them again? No, I think I've seen enough, usually is what I hear, okay? I said, okay, well, that system has what happened to it, and I pick my ruler up. I have one of those plastic rulers, okay? I use them every day. And I said, this is you, and at some point that thing got traumatized. I said, we're like a building, like we like to be straight, but we're not like a building when we get damaged. We have a nervous system that says, bend the head over top. And I do that. And I said, that's a great system. It's magical. It takes so much stress off the system because standing out like that takes so much energy. Imagine carrying a suitcase like 20 pounds standing like that. It'd be exhausting, wouldn't it? And I'm just talking to them and they go, yup, okay? So I said, what happens is we've had just thousands of these and nobody is just sitting in this place anymore. And we're all bent up. We're all collapsing. And guess what happens? The whole thing is zigzagging all over the place. And the whole body's falling down. And we get that grandma look. And you saw all those kinks. Your body is already shorter. You noticed that already. Okay? Am I correct? They said, yeah. Okay, so what we're about is doing three things in this office. We're about lifting that thing up. We're calling it open. I'm taking the ruler and doing that. We're about integrating it so those pieces are nice and stacked like bricks standing straight on top of each other because that's where it's strong. And then what we want to do is we want to have it towards center. So those are the three things, and I do that for them, and they understand those three things. I said each one takes some time. Now, what did I do when I just did that? I just created a process for them for success, but to see it as a process. Okay? So I took them down a path, very simple. Grandma's compressed from these traumas. They saw it on them. The path out of it is to lift it up, get it integrated, and reduce the numbers. So then I say to them, it's very simple. Okay? At that place, your body is able to handle it. So imagine this. You're carrying a 50-pound suitcase. You're standing on one leg. standing over a train track. You're not getting too far. Imagine carrying a 3-pound handbag, which is what you have today, and walking on 2 feet perfectly balanced. You don't even notice it. So I said, that's what I do in my office. I take you standing on one leg, breaking down with a huge misalignment, twisted off center, and I take you towards center by lifting it up, bring it close and nice and balanced, and then get you into a place where you're just 0 to 3 pounds off, and you're only twisted 0 to 3 pounds. And that's the place where your body is powerful, and that's the place where you will have no trouble and heal. That's it. And I said, do you have any questions? And what's the question? Okay, that I should hear.
When do I start?
Yeah, can I get adjusted? Okay, so this connection between the x-ray that they saw to, I didn't even talk to them about misalignment. I could talk to them specifically on one. I could said, all your stuff, you're zigzagging all over the place. And you saw the stress points, one in your low back and one on the top. It makes it simple. You can't get into those relationships. It's biomechanically not correct, and you're twisted too much. And your system is breaking down, okay? Your rotation is a measure of that. You can have specific conversations based on that person, okay? All right. I mean, it's just the way it is. If somebody that was, I can tell, is a type A, I would talk to them more specifically about their misalignment. I wouldn't say the body is, is not standing on top of itself. You got zigzags all over the place. Most people understand zigzag. Some people want more than that, okay? So you'll know that person, who that is. So that's the process of what I do. They see it, and then I go through a process of saying, hey, listening to them, and then this is what I do here, is this is the system of opening that up, integrating it, and reducing the numbers. Okay? And they see that in a kind of a suitcase kind of mentality, where they're standing off center into a place where they can maintain. All right? And I've given them information on their numbers to some respect in here. Okay, I used to draw pictures and say all these numbers and look at these things, and this is your postural listing, and this is your hip, and this is your spine. I don't do that. Okay, I don't say, oh, see, this should be. I went through the process of, well, this should be 3 R's on this side, or this should be 3 L's on that side. Blah 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 blah. Okay, you see these numbers. This represents your body. This one goes right, this one goes left, one goes right, this one goes right, this one goes right, this one goes left. What do you think they hear from that? It's all over the board, okay? In the middle, okay? These numbers should be add up to no more than 6. They're at a 9. It's not so bad, okay? It means you're holding the suitcase up pretty good, okay? And you got 12 pounds off the center, okay? We want to get all that thing so they're all stacked up on top of each other. It's minimal twist and minimal weight, and then you won't even notice it. So that's my communication, all right? So when I talk to people, these things are highlights for me. I always talk to them. I had a lady today, actually yesterday, I adjusted her. Dr. Yoshi was in the office helping out, and she was standing on the posture IQ and right after the adjustment, and what did she say to me? She says, man, I feel open, okay? So that's what we do, okay? And I said, hey, that's the word we use here. She says, I just feel open, okay? So I said, when you're open, that's the place where you're strong, okay? That's where you're healing. All right. So that's the healing process for success, okay? So again, once you get through that place, people should say what, okay? I'd like to get an adjustment, okay? If they don't ask you that, then you may miss something, okay? But, sometimes you got to prod somebody, I guess. All right, any questions up to now?
Hey, Russell?
So, yes, Andy.
Have you found any value of showing people that posture pictures so they can see what their squash looks like aside from the x-ray?
I have not. I have not done it that way, okay? Because every time I do that, and I try to take a picture, and what you see three-dimensionally is not as big as what I see two-dimensionally.
Right.
So it tends to be difficult to see,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But so, you know, I really walk through a very simple process of I'm looking to restore that to center and letting them see the trouble that they're having and adjusting them. Okay? Because there's no pressure for me to adjust them at that point, you know. There's no doubt that everybody wants to get adjusted. I mean, that's what they're there for. It's like you go to the dentist and he says, I think you have a cavity. Would you like me to deal with it now? Nah, just leave it, you know. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Yesterday with me, with that disconnection was you know not something that's happened before for me, even though I felt it, but I've never handled it that way. Okay.
Mhm.
But what I do on subsequent visits is different. Okay. I talk to them about where they are and what is changing. Okay. And I say to them these three things. Okay. All the time. Okay. I said, I look at three things. All right. And what they are is your body able to handle the misalignment? Okay, and what I mean by that, and I use this suitcase all the time, is if you have a 10-pound suitcase, okay, or you have a 30-pound suitcase, one of them you're going to put down faster. You're going to have to put it down. I can measure that energy level in you, okay, and that's important because if you can't handle the misalignment and you're compressing your whole body, and that is the first thing we must get out because that is a problem, and they see that, okay. So that is the rotation, okay, and they hear that. The rotation through time is the indicator. Over every visit, the rotation and the twist is a key indicator of them being open, okay? The second piece that I look at is trying to get those bricks stacked up. So I said, so say it's the third visit. I said, today's a good day. Today you're coming in where your energy level is saying, I can handle the misalignment. So numbers are changing, okay? It is not stacked up on top of each other, okay, so it's still zigzagging, and there's 14 pounds off the center. You started at 26, today is 14, but we want it between 0 and 3 because that is the place where your body can hold it up. We call that sustainable. So you hear this conversation with me. It's a continuous one, and as I go through care, the second visit, I'm constantly reiterating that information in. Fair? When I talk to people, when I adjust them, okay, if I do that sometimes, it's usually talking to them about taking care of themselves better, okay? All right? So I talk about their body as an energy system, and that's what this slide is about, all right? So I said, you know, I look at the body as like, I say this all the time, as, you know, as like your phone. There's a point where it says, you know, low battery, and I said, you know, if you look at this sign, I said, you guys can look at it, it says some visual effects are reduced or disabled. Okay, well that's just like the body. I tell that. I said, you know that little power mode that turns on when it tells you to plug in? You should read it sometimes. It says it's going to shut down systems in your and you know it'll shut the apps down. I said, well, your body tells you that before it shuts them down too, and that's what these symptoms are. So I just look at the body as like a giant battery, and you got all these apps running. Your eye to see, your ear to hear, your heart to beat, your digestion, all these apps are open. I said, well, the posture app and you holding yourself upright is the biggest one you got. And if you were off center, it is just sucking the life out of you, okay? So while I'm trying to help that app, I want you to be able to do some healthy stuff so that you can be as strong as possible. Because if you're as strong as possible, guess what happens? You heal faster. Okay, so water, nutrition, exercise, positive mental attitude, these kind of things. I talk to my patients in specifics about them all the time. Okay? So I talk to them that I am a part of their health during office visits. Okay? The first few office visits, I talk to them my part in the way that I'm going to help them. Okay? So I intermingle through office visits because I have 6 months with somebody. Okay? And it'll be more than after. Every single visit, I am on point with that. Okay? So I use global phrases with them, all right? So that they get that. What is a global phrase? Not you should take some vitamin A or I think you need some protein, okay? That's not a global phrase for me. A global phrase is one that makes them think, okay? All right? What do you think that symptom is telling you? Okay? Do you think that medication is good for you? Is it like an apple? Okay, these are global concepts. And believe me, you think people know these things. Yeah, well, an apple, and they laugh. I said, okay. You know, somebody makes a comment to me and they say to me, well, I just had to take the medication. I said, why? Did somebody force you? You know, I mean, just people, what comes out of their mouth, through care, you just need to ask them to look at that. I ask people to look at that all the time. Okay. So people are dying and craving, not they're dying too, but they're dying to talk to you about real stuff. Okay? See, chiropractic is cool. We have this thing that we talk about, universal intelligence. See, the world calls that God. Okay? So however you get that, even to the atheist, okay, the wisdom within, okay, they get it. Something's running that thing inside. Brilliance. And it talks to you. And you just need to wake them up. You need to talk to them about taking care of themselves. And you also got to be able to remember that cardinal rule is that you can't give it to them in advice. You cannot tell them. I had a lady say to me today, okay, and I don't want to keep you too long tonight, so just a couple minute story, and I'll tell you about Priscilla. But Charlene was in tonight, and she is a very in the medical model, but she lives with a little foot in my office once a month because I help her. Okay, but she can't stay out of the medical doctor's office. So she told me today, and I always say this every visit, and she's got like 87 questions. Okay, so she says to me, I went to my internist because she wanted me to have an exam, and she said she wanted to do this new calcium test, and she says, have you heard of it? And I said, yeah, I heard of it, which I haven't. Okay, so I just got to get to the story. Okay, so through the story, so she says, okay, so this new calcium test, and it came back, it was a 36.1, a 36.1 or a 23.8, whatever that is, okay, and whatever it was, she said, then she wanted to send me to the pulmonary person, she wanted to send me to I went to the cardiologist, and I went to one other person, I can't remember, 3 people, all right, and everybody said everything was okay, and the cardiologist said that number, don't worry about it, you don't need to be on cholesterol medication. So she went back to her lady and she said, absolutely, I have to be on cholesterol medication. And what did she say to me? She said to me, she says, Dr. Freeman, which one should I do? Should I go on the cholesterol medication or be on, or not go on the global? She says, oh, you're against medication. I said, actually, I'm not against medication. I'm just against medication all the time because it's not going to make you healthy. I said, nobody should suffer. I said, but I like getting to the cause and trying to understand why my body is having an issue so that I can empower it and take care of it. You wouldn't just like smoke come out, put your sunglasses on, and just don't see it. I mean, we want to resolve the issue. That's what seems to work, is empowering the body. So, I have to leave them with that. Okay? That's where I have to leave them. Before I used to think that I could change them, and I can't. So people are dying for those conversations, okay? They're not dying for you to just tell them about their problems and tell them how you're going to help them. They're dying to have somebody reach inside and for them to remember that they're magical, okay? Remember that they were made correctly, okay? That there's just a brilliance. I mean, it's just amazing to me that people don't see that, okay? I tell my patients, church on Sunday, doctor on Monday. Okay, they forget something so quickly. Okay. So there's a lady that comes in. She's a beautiful photographer. She's seen me forever, and she was in a bit ago. And she said to me, I just love coming in the office. And I said, I started thinking about that. And I was adjusting her, and I don't like to talk to people I'm adjusting unless it's specific, something that I have to give them that message because it's necessary, is So I'm thinking, oh, is it the dogs? We give food. We always have my lights down. We have cool music. It just rolls for me, man. And so I said, so what is it that you love? She says, Dr. Friedman, you're just weird. I said, what the F does that mean? She says, everybody that I talk to, my friends, the doctors, anywhere I go, man, they're just talking about the same old thing. She says, you're always talking about something else, man. I just love it. I said, okay. So people are just dying to just reconnect with that magic, man. Okay? It's starving in our profession. Everybody wants to talk about the Sci-Fi Channel, and they want to talk about how to connect in. Okay? And that's who we are as chiropractors. So, that part of us is kind of forgotten in upper cervical work. We talk about the numbers. Okay? So there's a part of me that talks about the love of this, of their human body and paying attention to it. Okay? So those are the exchanges that I have. Okay? So the relationship for me is not this. If you were finding yourself constantly trying to prove your worth to someone, you have already forgotten your value. How many patients do you have that you are right now working some wheel, some deal, some whatever, so that they can make it happen because they can't afford your care? And you've got something you've done, twisted turn, and you're going to do it because you want them to stay in the system. Every one of you has one. I know it. Everyone, either people on here that have a office of them. Okay? Because you're not making it about the care. Okay? It's only about the care. I told my front office lady, tell them what it costs and tell them about the care. Okay? It's that simple. If they ask what it costs, just tell them it is the answer. There's not, well, he has to come in and do a reevaluation. And I don't know what that's all about, man. Okay? You have to be you. All right? You have to be you. And you have to just treat people. And you have to have that value for you. Talk to your patients, not from a place of authority. Talk to them from a place of they could just see who you are. They know who you are. I got behind last week, and I don't get behind that much, okay? But I used to have, I don't have an intern this quarter, okay? So I have to, do my own stuff, and I get busy sometimes. So this one lady who has been with upper cervical work, okay, for a long time. Now, I don't consider myself an upper cervical doctor anymore. I am an upper cervical doctor when I touch up in the upper cervical area, but I also touch the lower cervical area. So, I don't consider I'm a chiropractor, So, this lady has been through chiropractic for a while, and my wife came in and she said to me, she's been waiting an hour. I said, really, an hour? Really? I had no idea. Okay, because I just get lost in the sauce, man. I'm just talking about people empowering their lives. I can't shut up about it. Okay, and how I'm going to be a part of that. Okay. So it's just fun to do that. And I walked in, I said, Jean, has it been an hour? I'm really sorry. And, I'm sorry, not in like that forgiving way. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. That's it. End of story, I'm sorry, okay? She says, no, it hasn't been an hour. It's only been 10 minutes. I said, so I smiled. I said, no, it's not been 10 minutes. It's been an hour, hasn't it? And she just nodded her head. And what do you think she said to me? She said, Dr. Friedman, you're worth it. And she didn't even glitch, okay? So why is it worth it? I'll tell you another thing. I had a lady today, okay, who 2 times we messed up her appointment. One time I was so busy I couldn't even get to her. It was that same night. Okay, she's back the week later. Okay, I couldn't even see her. She left. Okay, and then she came in for something, and she was supposed to do something like some neurology work with Allie, and it wasn't on the schedule. So we dropped the ball twice, and we're not unorganized that way. It's just happened like this one night just messed things up. And she says like, oh, don't even be ridiculous. Why are they like that? Okay, because I have that relationship with them that they know what I've been doing here for them. and they see who we are. And it's okay. Okay, that doesn't mean no one will ever be pissed. And you know who they are. There's people in a rush, and you got to get them in and out, and you got to move them through. Okay? But, imagine having an office that you get to talk to people and say what you want. Well, you get to talk about QSM3 and just in a way that the people can understand that, hey, this is a kind of a three-step process of, me trying to get this thing opened up and lifted up. And that's the first thing is get that misalignment, so you're standing up. Okay? And then get that thing, closer and closer to center, that it's no longer a 50-pound suitcase on your back on one leg. You're just carrying a little 3-pound handbag and you're off and running. I said, that's what we do here, and we do that really well. And I say that comfortably. Okay. So if you're constantly trying to prove your worth to somebody, you've already forgotten your value. Okay. I do one thing in my office, and I don't really like to do it, but I don't know, we still do it. And it's that we give you half off because you got referred in. Why do I do that? Because then it's about the money, because that's that one piece that I hold on to that is about the money in my life. Okay? Because it always used to be about, making money. So, it's not that it has a bigger or less value. It just doesn't, I don't have the same energy in it. Okay? I want to make just as much money as anybody else, to a point, because we all have a lifestyle. Okay? But you can't posture your office around that. You can't lean in on patient, and you can't sell them something. All right? So if they actually just listen to this concept, if you actually talk to people, and they saw that you did something that showed them a way that they can relate to it from a number point of view, from a structural point of view, if they saw it bent up and they see it visually, to somebody seeing it more specifically down the road, trying to understand that you're trying to balance the equation and that's where they are. Or, everything is perfect, but that neck is sitting off center. So imagine you have like 6 bricks and one of them is sitting out of place, and that's that neck, and that's why you feel that there. And that's what this letter represents. You see how that's the oddball there? And they go, yeah. I said, you see that 12 pounds there? Well, we want that to 0 to 3 because 12 pounds gets tiring after a while. And if it gets tiring, guess what? You don't just die. Your body starts shutting down systems, and that's why it's talking to you. It's letting you know that systems are getting in trouble. Okay? It's the beauty of the system. It's the beauty of the system. Okay? So that's what I do. So I am constantly intermingling these conversations of global health, and that me being part of that global health and water. I tell people that I am the foundation of their health, because the structure of the body, I said, if the building isn't strong, it can't do anything, okay? You can't go jumping up and running up and down the stairs, okay? Nothing works if the building's falling down. So it is the support system. And I said everything else, the water, the nutrition, the exercise, the detox, all the stuff that you do, loving life and smiling, all those things are the things that we call I do to get healthy. Because why? Because they allow you to plug in, like your phone. So if you want to get out of this hole, look at those things and plug into those things. And we talk specifically about them. I tell people to be kind to themselves, do things that are easy for them, make easy decisions. I said, the body is amazing. Drink a little more water, whatever you need. You know what you need. I said, the whole deal is to find balance. Balance, balance, balance. You have to balance nutrition. You have to balance structure. You have to have balanced spirit. Okay? You just have to have, everything has to be in balance. They see that. Okay? These are words that are easy. Okay? And some of the people you just say, hey, my neck hurts and I got a crick over there. I said, okay, listen, your head's bent over sideways. No wonder. And if it's Ricky Holcomb and his head's like the size of the Mack truck emblem on a, an 18-wheeler, and you say, Ricky, your head weighs frickin' 40 pounds. It's sitting sideways. No wonder your neck hurts. I'll get that straightened out right now. I'm not going to get into a global conversation. He loves it, man. He fixes frickin' tractors. He's got TN. He doesn't have it. So that's what you do, is you connect with your people, and it's fun, man, that way. You just sit down with them, and you love on them, and you talk to them how to live their life fuller. Okay? So that's what I do. So I stopped the push, and When people are ready to do the care plan, they'll be ready and there'll be a point, and I warm them up through it. They understand that it's coming because on the first day, I say this is the way this is going to run for me, is I'm going to track this over the next few visits, and I'm going to watch those numbers and the postures and the relationship, and I want to see what's going to happen. How, is it going to open up? Is that energy system going to come out? Is it going to come to center? Are those bricks that are all zigzagging all over the place, are some of them going to start moving to center and get more integrated? When I see that and I hit the ball a few times, I'll start seeing a pattern, and I'll see what kind of care you need for your future so we can get the results that you need. Tell me that's not a very easy statement that just rolled off my mouth, that did not even hurt you, that planted in your mind that you're going to be here. Yeah, you're next. Okay? I didn't say to them, hey, listen, you're going to need 26 visits and 14 therapies, and we're going to reassess it on the 8th visit, and I need you to come see a video, and you need to come to this class and bring 14 friends. I think we forgot what the patient is about. The patient is not for you to generate visits. The patient is there for you to get results and give help to. They only care about one thing. They want to keep it simple. They want to get better. And if they love you in the meantime, that'll be awesome. Okay? Well, you have the tools to make it better. And if you come to Seattle, you'll have the tools even better. All right.
Hey, Russ.
Yes, sir.
Hey, one of the main questions that I had was just transitioning from an upper cervical practice to QSM3. Is in the past, my current patients really grasped, okay, we're moving this Atlas, so that's what they knew I was doing. So now they're like, so what are you doing? And so, do you say I'm adjusting spine and soft tissue, or how do you?
Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to answer the question. Okay, so you're a patient and you just asked me, okay, I'm going to turn this two ways if you don't mind, okay? Because I'm going to get the answer from you. All right. So if I'm going to ask you, why? Let me ask you a question. This is the question, Chad. What is it about QSM3 that transitioned you from an Atlas adjuster to a QSM3 doctor that now has a posture IQ and probably I would say, and I'm not going to say number 1, 2, or 3, but if I'm going to teach biomechanics right now, you would know 99% of it. Okay, you're like an amazing human being that came here like a year ago, not even, and have just taken that on. So there's something that's happened to you that you saw that's made that happen. Okay, tell me that story, please. Why do you do that?
Well, for me, it started to make sense that certain areas could be released and allow the body to unwind or to come back towards center. And so that's kind of how I've explained it, is that we're affecting not only just the bones, but the muscles, ligaments, tendons, and all of the tension that gets placed on the spine. But I was just curious how everybody else words it, or.
So I do this, okay? I tell them the truth, okay? I said I learned in chiropractic school, and where chiropractic school is, and where people in chiropractic is they basically look at bone out of place, okay? So I said I did that, and I got good at doing that, and I measured it every which way, and I got to a place that I had questions, okay? And I started looking at answers, and what it's taken me to is a bigger picture that allows me to change what I was doing of making you straight in a more efficient way. And you could say it as simple as that way. Why not? I mean, the iPhone 7 versus an iPhone 2, there isn't too many people that will just go and grab the iPhone 2. If you tell them that technology is better, the medical model never has to say, you know what, this stuff over here, I don't use that anymore. Like, the medical model doesn't go, hey, that one is this, and this one now I can do this better. They say, how? They just tell you how wonderful the new one is. Okay, I tell people that all the time, okay, that I am learning something and I'm going to try this because that is what I tell people right now, every day. I said, I say it all the time. I said, your body didn't like that. I said, instead of going the direction that I want, the whole thing went over and it fell down. Okay, it collapsed. I said, we need to have it up and open. I said, we need to turn you over. Okay, so I communicate with my patients the way that I see it. I don't fumble around with them in any way. I said, and I've come up with, the Atlas thing. I said, I used to look at one bone and make a decision about the whole body. Okay, I don't do that anymore. And I struggled for 8 years. Brad reminded me, 8 years. Okay, I actually struggled for more than that. I struggled for, whatever, 15 years. Okay, and then the past, 7 years, it's only the past year, and it is where I've gotten in this has just been off the chart. I mean, this doesn't mean that I fix everything or anything even to that magnitude, but I'm just super comfortable with the results that I see and being okay with where they are. Okay, so my patients totally understand all the time what's going on. I just talk to them. And Chad, I just think you want to just talk to them for the way you see it. Now, you kind of started to me in the middle of the conversation that you didn't give people a place of reference, from where you were. Okay? I mean, however your people relate to it, you may want to remind that, we've talked so much about the Atlas. Well, there's another 205 bones in the body, and there's a relationship. Okay, and there's there's a group that's moving into and that have incorporated that, and I think it's going to help you out, be more stable, better results, and that's what we're going to work on today. And so that's why we're going to touch you a little lower, because those are also excellent access points, just like the Atlas is. There are other keys that open up other areas, so we're going to find out if they can help you. I mean, I could just keep rolling with different things all day long with that. And they all are about you advancing yourself. People like that, believe it or not. So that's the best I can tell you, brother.
Yep, that's what I was looking for.
Okay, but I'm going to tell you one piece, okay, and here's the kicker, is that when you're okay with the transition, that question will never come up anymore. Okay.
I'm really good with the transition. I think it was just making.
I don't mean it that way. I don't mean structurally. When you just let go that you have to say something about it because you're doing something different. Okay. I mean, do people go, "What are you doing over there?" I mean, how does that come up?
No, I think because I also transitioned from instrument. So it was kind of like, what are you doing, Doc?
I got you. Okay. Well, listen, people love people to get better. I've been checking out this method, and this is what it does. And this guy was doing the work that I was doing, and he's, and blah, 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 and just talk to him. And you can talk to a little bit more detail about this. And, he's not just looking at the one bone out of place. He's looking at the whole three-dimensional. I'm dancing around on there, moving my whole body around saying, I used to just look at this thing. Well, underneath there, that thing's there. And if I don't get that thing square like a house, that's not going to be, so I noticed that this is working better. Simple. Whatever. There's multiple ways. But here's the thing is people, that conversation doesn't come up for me. If I have somebody that comes in and they're referred from an upper cervical office, I just tell them that I do something that is built on top of that. And I'm going to touch them in a couple areas lower because those are going to access more areas, and I found that it helps them out a whole lot better, and I think they'll see that in a few minutes. Done. Out. And I never hear that again. You know why? Because it doesn't come up for me because it's not an issue for me. My issue is for them to get better, and just not about the method that I'm using. The dentist never would have to say to me, "I got this new tool." Okay, he would just do his thing. He would say, "Hey man, I got this. There's a new amalgam out if he wanted to, or there's a new filling out, and we're using it here, and it's totally cool. It's gonna be great for you. What do you think I'm gonna go? I'm gonna go cool." So that's what you would say, cool. So I don't want to put a lot of effort into that. Anybody else? No? Okay. No questions? Anything about anything? And we'll wrap it up. Okay. So listen, Seattle's coming up. Okay. It's a beautiful conference. It's a smaller room, because we knew it was the first week before Thanksgiving. So we got some seats left, and it should be a phenomenal class if you're able to make it. If you need some information on it or to need to chat in any which way, you can certainly shoot me an email, and we can connect on that. Okay? Other than that, have a awesome evening. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
Hey, Russell, thank you.
Thanks, Russell. Thank you.